Hello, this is Joe Martin. I'm the pastor at First Baptist Church in Toledo, and thank you for taking a few moments to just listen, and maybe even later, if it's helpful, share this video. I want to talk to you about the power of speaking grace, and how we talk, how we communicate is so important to our discipleship of our following of Jesus, of being like him. He calls us to be with him so that we can be like him, that we can learn what he's like, and then we can do more and more what he does. You know, when I think about how we talk, I feel like when I listen to the words of Jesus and he says, you will give an account for every idle word that you speak, those unguarded words, those leisure comments that you make, you're going to give an account before God, because by your words you'll be justified and by your words you'll be condemned. I feel like the church father in the 4th century who had such a hard time with controlling his speech that he wanted to practice silence. And so he put a rock in his mouth and he carried that around in his mouth for 2 years so he could learn how to be silent. You know, oftentimes until we learn how to be silent, we really aren't going to learn how to speak well. And this is exactly what Paul taught later when he said, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, that it may give grace to those who hear. Don't let this happen. He goes on to say, because this is so important, do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you are sealed for the day of redemption. You know, unwholesome, or as the King James says, corrupt communication, rotten, stinky, putrefying is that word is really about, are the most common ways that we not only grieve the Holy Spirit, but that we close doors and that we alienate other people. So as we talk on this Sunday, and this Sunday we've been talking about restoring people, and oftentimes the only way that you're going to be able to really have an impact in bringing people, no matter what got them there, what ditch got them there, whether it's anger or anxiety or apathy, or they've deconstructed because of doubt or difficulty in their life, you're going to have to know how to figure out where they're at, maybe why they're where they are, and then know what to say to them. And corrupt communication or unwholesome words are not going to get you there. You're not going to bring healing to them. And as you say, well, what would corrupt communication be? Well, there's a lot of it, but you could say when we are complainers, and it's very easy to be a habitual complainer, you know, that says do all things without grumbling or complaining in Philippians. You know, it's a habit to complain about this and complain about that and complain about all kinds of things in our society, both inward and outward, or to criticize, to be that person who's just critical. You just remember there's a big difference between being a critical thinker and just being critical. You know, always finding fault or raging. Most of us understand that when people just flip out and they get angry and they rage, they say a lot of things and create a lot of damage. They throw everything at you. Or coarse communication. This is just kind of what we call now edgy communication, being rough around the edges, and, you know, innuendo, or crude. People that make crude comments, you know, sexually explicit comments. Sometimes, even though I really like to laugh and I appreciate a good joke, a lot of humor can go down this route. Cruel communication. People that are just mean. They're just cruel. They maybe they have a biting sarcasm, but it's fine. But when you're the one getting bit, it's not great. Or degrading, like you're just kind of diminishing that person. You're just kind of tearing them down. Or contemptuous communication, where you are just showing incredible contempt, which means I don't even think you're just not even human. And are fearful. There's a lot of fear kind of conversations out there on all sides of life and families, and, you know, the slippery slope kind of logic. And people get into that, and then fear is very contagious. It doesn't build people up, it freaks them out. And then blasphemy. Like just using the Lord's name in vain. You know, it surprises me how many people who are, religious will use Jesus' name in vain, just habitually. And so this is the kind of speech that quenches the fire of God in your life. It drains life and love out of not only your life, but out of the life of others. You know, there are some people that after you've been around them, and we don't want to be those people, that you're just exhausted. You're just like, they just are draining. And so we don't want to be like the guy who said, well, you know, my uncle told a story. And I said, well, did it have a happy ending? He said, yeah, I was happy when it ended. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, that it might give grace to those who hear. So there's another way to speak, and that gives life, that gives grace. Only such a word that edification, we get the word edifice from it, to build up, to build the person up. At the need of the moment, that it gives grace to those who hear. You know, it builds, it affirms people. You know, speaking grace is, when the word grace is used, sometimes we think, well, that's salvation. We're saved by grace. And that's true. But there's also another way the word grace is used: enabling grace, empowering grace. This is the way this is being used here. That when you speak certain ways, you're speaking power into people's life. You're speaking strength into their life and confidence into their life. This is so important. You know, you do this by affirming them. You do this by building them up, and not in a flattering way or in a dishonest way, but you're building them up. So what are we called to do if we're going to be followers of Jesus? And we are going to be the people that really become bridges to helping people in their faith. We are to stop complaining and to speak grace. And I hope that you'll come Sunday. You know, you come to the morning service. We're going to talk about how to kind of figure out where people are, and then what to say and what to do for them. And then the breakfast class is going to be just very practical on how do we really speak grace to people. So this Sunday, I really hope you come. Maybe bring somebody with you. You can come to that breakfast class at 9:30. The other services at 8 and 11. And a lot of you have been coming, and maybe you share this with somebody and think, that might be helpful to me. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. And by the way, just one thing to affirm you. Thank you so much. So many of you have been so generous. You give online. You watch this and go to our website, to the giving. You're giving extra gifts and you're providing for things. Thank you so much for doing that. I just can't say enough of how much that makes it possible for us to do what we do. God bless you. Thanks for watching.